It's Miss Bree, the Dark Diva, and welcome. This is part of our Whiskey Diva series of videos, and hopefully some blog posts that we'll be doing. We're going to be taking a more in-depth look at whiskey, the various types. Now, with this being 1st of March and March associated with St. Patrick's Day coming up on the 17th, we, of course, will be doing Irish whiskey, which is one near and dear to my heart. I love it. So we're going to be focusing on that. Now, this one is going to be primarily a quick tasting and sort of a comparison. Now, I picked up a couple of new Irish whiskeys for me yesterday at Total Wine & More in Manchester. They're great people. They're very helpful. Go out of their way to find it for you, and they've got a lot of stuff. So if you're near, and they got some really good prices. So if you're near, I told them I'd give them a shout out. So a shout out to Total Wine & More in Manchester. But I also today I was at my regular local liquor store, Joe's Fine Wine and Spirits in East Windsor. They stock a lot of stuff, and they're really prepared for St. Patrick's Day. They've loaded up with Irish. They've got a whole section of it. They've expanded a special section for it. So if you're near there, go see them. I think you'll really enjoy some of the opportunities there, including some of the stuff that I'm showing here. In fact, I think all of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is available at Joe's, as well as Total, which when you're closer to what your budget is, that's up to you. I recommend them both, depending on where you are and what you're doing. So anyway, let's get to this, because this is my second version of the video. The first one went to a half an hour. I'm going like, I wouldn't even sit through that myself when I filmed it. I enjoy talking about whiskey, as you may have gathered. So I'm going to try to be a little quicker this time and get through what we're doing. What I did was I took different levels. Now, this is Jameson, which is pretty much very popular, maybe the most popular baseline Irish whiskey. And this is the kind of the sales base anyway. A lot of people, that's their idea of Irish whiskey. Tullamore D.E.W, those who love Tullamore D.E.W don't like anything else. At least the ones I've run into are very much, if you don't have this, you don't have Irish whiskey. Each into their own. I have not spent much time with it. I will say that I typically don't buy. I've had Jameson's. It's okay. It's not my favorite. Tullamore D.E.W's okay. Again, it's not my favorite. Mine happens to be Black Bush as far as price, familiarity at the time with what I was used to in Irish whiskeys. This has been my go-to. It's not significantly more. It's kind of depending on where you buy them. They're almost the same price as these two. And some of the others. There are others in that same price category. We will be trying to get to those as well, budget notwithstanding. So as I can afford them, I will be adding them. Hopefully we'll be able to go through them before St. Patrick's Day. The new ones I picked up, this is the Irishman. It's a small batch Irish whiskey. Irish whiskey is actually in the distillation, small batch and things like that. It's been making a comeback in Ireland. It got down pretty bad to where there was only a couple of distilleries still churning out Irish whiskey. There's been a turnaround, and they are really a lot more divergence of brands, distilleries, and approaches to craft distilling and really bringing out the best in Irish whiskey. So very exciting. This is the Irishman Founders Reserve. It's drawn a lot of its awards, and it's been ranked by experts as an excellent Irish whiskey. So I wanted to try that, so I bought that. $31.99. So that's was it? Yeah. So it's not that much more than this, but it's a big jump in character, if you will. Now, this is $51.99, and that was kind of like my top end. I'm looking for stuff that most of us could afford. If you want to put it in your bar and you want to share it with friends and you want something decent. I got Redbreast 12-year. I've heard about it. It's amazing. I will say that I tried it last night. I tried both of these. I was very impressed. Now, when I tried them, and we will be doing that a little more in depth in future videos soon. I put these in rocks glasses with ice cube, so there's a little more room. Let the ice melt just a little bit. Add the water to release more of the aroma, and it's quite an experience. And the longer it sits, the more of the notes you get to experience. Very interesting. I want to go through that with you in more depth. The thing I will tell you, the commonalities, what makes it Irish, there are a few things. Single pot distilled, or triple distilled. Okay, triple distilled. Bourbon, for example, is single distilled. Scotch whiskey is double distilled. Irish is triple distilled. Then, of course, there are the variations in the grain mixtures that they use. In America, bourbon, 51% corn, so it tends to be sweeter. I don't remember offhand the Scotch mix, and again, because I'm not doing the Scotch, is not the focus of the video. One of the things with Scotch is the malting is done with over peat fire. So peat is used that's where it imparts the smokiness to it. If it's Highland, it's not quite as peaty as it is in Lowland. A lot more peat. So if you like the smokiness of the peat, you'll like Lowland better. Maybe Highland if you're not as much, which I don't like the smokiness, so I like the Highland better. And then you have the Irish, which, now there is an Irish with the peat. Connemara, I think, and don't hold me to that. I haven't tried that, but again, I'm not a big peat fan overall. If I want Scotch, I'll get Scotch. I don't want peaty Irish. I like my Irish without the peat, as a rule. So, without going into too much more detail, what this basically said, these are the popular. So this is a little more character, and these are the higher end character with still being affordable. So let's talk about the taste. All right, this is the Jameson's. Like I said, some consider this the most popular brand. A lot of people say Irish, oh, they have Jameson's. And usually if they're making, like, what is it, Irish car bomb, I think they use Jameson's. Or if you're ordering a shot with a friend, I want a shot of Irish whiskey. Trying to pour Jameson's. You don't do the high end. That's wasteful. Which I'll get to in a moment. So, it is Irish whiskey, there's no doubt. Beyond that, it's okay, but it's a bit bland. And that's not necessarily a knock. What they do, most whiskeys or brands, their baseline whiskey is made to appeal to the broadest group of people possible within the category. Same with bourbons, or even, for example, for me, Glenlivet Scotch. I used to drink Scotch a lot, and preferably single malt. And so Glenlivet 12-year-old was easy to find. It was single malt, and so I drink a lot of it. It was a good price. But honestly, as you try the other stuff, you realize that that's a baseline. It's really not. The more character you move up to, the more intriguing it is, and then pretty soon you don't want the baseline stuff. So if you're a serious whiskey drinker, and serious about your Irish whiskey, and you like all of it, you're going to want to move up to something better. If you just like Irish whiskey and you're not concerned about that, these are fine. And again, they appeal to a broader range of palates because there isn't as much distinctive. They have the Irish, but there's not like the tasting notes and stuff really almost aren't there. This is the Tullamore D.E.W. Yeah, it's okay. Again, it's Irish, but nothing to. I'm sorry, it's nothing to write home about. Again, I'm not dissing it per se. If you like it, and that's great. That doesn't mean that you're unsophisticated or anything like that. Please, we all like what we like. Some people, that's what you like. Been there, done that, and I totally understand. But for those who are looking for something different, we're going to keep moving. Now, this is where I landed on Irish, Black Bush, Irish whiskey. Now, taste-wise, it's a step up. Price-wise, depending on where you buy these are all kind of in the same category. Okay? But, now, the Black Bush, deeper, has more flavor, texture, and I use that term maybe not as appropriately as I should. When I say texture, it's got more depth to the flavor. Okay, it's a little more complex. It's bolder, without being, whoa. It doesn't wake you up, that type of thing, but it is bolder. It's more flavor. So when you put it in a glass with some ice, maybe a little splash of water, you're going to get more flavor out of it. Which is kind of the reason I moved to the Black Bush. I really like it. And I get it on the rocks with a splash. I go out somewhere and want whiskey, for example. Frequently it's Black Bush that I go to. And when I keep at home. That's the one I did not have to go out and buy. Again, it's not a lot of flavor notes per se, but the character of the flavor is deeper. Okay? So there's more to it. It's not... I'm sure I'm going to get myself in trouble with saying these are more watered down, if you will, and I'm sure that there's no water in them, but it's a milder flavor to appeal to more taste, which is fine. Not everybody's into the variety of the flavor notes and all that. It's what you're into. Okay, I just want a shot of whiskey. Many of these are good. Now, interestingly enough, the Irishman is only a few dollars more than the Black Bush, but they're worlds apart in terms of flavor profile, the aroma, the notes. It's we're drinking Irish, but it must be a different part of Ireland if you get where I'm coming from. Okay, it's a mix of pot distilled, single malt. Okay, they're all triple distilled. That is the one thing I'm not sure if I got to that. I ramble a lot. They're all triple distilled, and single pot stilling is a big, or the pot stills are big in Irish whiskey, and it does impart certain parts of the flavor. The other thing versus some of the others, they're aged in variety of either some are in a mix of sherry cask and bourbon cask. Now this one is in bourbon infused cask is what it's aged in, which has something to do with the smoothness. And again, the length of the aging, how many times the barrel was used before it came to aged bourbon or sherry, if you're using the sherry cask. All of that changes the flavor profile as it matures in there. The wood of the cask and what's already in it from prior use melds with what's in the mash, the distillate that goes in there. Okay, and together they create something totally unique. And this, now the one thing I noticed, sometimes aromas and they tell you flavor notes. Oh, you'll experience this, this, and this. Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. And my sinuses are terrible. And everybody's a little more sensitive to some things than others. But green apples is supposed to be the first thing that you notice, and it is. When I tasted it yesterday with the ice cube in the glass, and it was amazing. I was like, wow. But it's a deeper, there are more different aromas, that notes that you're going to get. The flavor profile is much more complex. It is an Irish whiskey to be savored, and that's where we start getting into the ones that you pour a little bit in a glass with some ice. You sit back, you're talking with friends, you're chatting. It's one that you sit and you enjoy, and it's you and your significant other. You go out and you sit out and watch the sunset with one of these, and you really just sit and enjoy the moment and enjoy the distiller's craft and the pride that goes into making it. Those are the things as you get up in the well, I hate to say it, but okay, price range. But as it gets more complex and more focused on the art of distilling, you will find that it gets into that. This is very good. Incredibly smooth. Now, this within my price range is kind of the pinnacle. This is 12-year-old Redbreast. Now, I've heard a lot about it. Single pot still Irish whiskey. Again, I'm not going into a great deal of depth on the distilling and aging process in this particular video. We will be getting into there when I do the individual. A lot more on the tasting and the background and that sort of thing. But this is, these are both good, but they're different. Of course, there's about a $20 price difference, at least where I bought, between this one and this one. Redbreast is about $52, give or take. Now, you may pay more for that. I've seen it at $60. It depends on where you are and where you're buying it from. This one has got more toasted notes, I noticed. Now, at one point when I tasted it, I could have sworn there was caramel. I think butterscotch is supposed to be one, or toasted wood. What one person interprets as one thing, I interpret as something else, but they're not all that far apart. But it does have, there is a lot of character to it. Lots of different notes, and they kind of flow together, and it's, how should I put it? If you appreciate classical music, it's like a symphony, okay? Everything is distinctive, but it comes together so nicely. And it just kind of trips around your palate and just tickles a little bit of the taste bud here or there, and it just gives a nice warmth going down. And this really is the one that you share with a friend. Well, and again, I say the Irishman it just as well, but this one is far more complex. I had a friend post when I posted that I had bought this yesterday, and one of my friends who follows the Dark Diva said, "Awesome," and he was right. This is a very smooth, very mellow, but very distinctive. Again, this is the one you sip and you appreciate the notes. You take the time and go, yes. And even if you're not sitting there consciously thinking of, well, it tastes like this and it tastes like that, you're just appreciating how it all comes together. It is truly, for those moments when you pour it, little ice, maybe a splash of water, again, just to release the notes in a rocks glass, and you sit back and you relax. Maybe it's the end of a long day, or you and your significant other, you go out and just toast the sunset, or just, I don't know, you get rid of the kids for the night. Been there, done that, yes. Love them, but every once in a while we need adult time. So that's what you do with this. This is where you appreciate it. This is the part of the craft where you start getting to the soul, if you will, of whiskey and distilling and appreciating the craft and really what the objective is. Why are you having the drink? I mean, if you just want to get a buzz, yeah, get the Jamesons and knock back and please don't drive. But if you want to do more, if you want to appreciate the flavor, the taste, and the distiller's craft, then please, I highly recommend that you try these two. We'll be doing some more, by all means. And again, they're all good. You know, if you're having family over and you got a large crowd, you know, don't get carried away unless your budget will afford it. Yeah, you want to impress people, that's fine, but each has its place. And if you got people that they could care less, serve them the Jamesons or the Tullamore or whatever, they'll be happy. They've had Irish whiskey and it's good, and I mean, it's not bad. I don't get me wrong, and I want to emphasize that. I'm not saying that these are bad. I'm just saying that this is going for a mass audience. These are very specific. They're for people who really do appreciate the craft. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your attention and your time. Please click the subscribe button below. Give me a like. I appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. We're trying to grow this business. You'll find me also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can get links to all of that from my Facebook, from my website. Thank you. TheDarkDivaRules.com. If you've got something you want to message me, Miss Bree at TheDarkDivaRules.com. Okay, thank you very much. And as I always say, well, happy St. Patrick's Day and wear it into the green and all that. And cheers.